My name is Ike Nnaebue. I'm a Nigerian filmmaker. I got interested in filmmaking because I fell in love with storytelling from a very young age. I grew up in my village, and that meant that I grew up with my grandmother, with my mother, and other women in the community. There was always a lot of storytelling when I was growing up. A lot of folk tales, and at the end of every story they would say, oh, the moral of the story is this, you're not supposed to be greedy because the lion got in the trap because he was greedy and stuff like that. So to my young mind, I quickly understood that storytelling was such a powerful tool to shape minds and to shape society. And growing up, I was always interested in, the society, in helping to contribute to the forward movement of society, sharing stories that are positive, that would encourage other people to have a better experience with life. And so when I finally got the opportunity to learn filmmaking, I thought filmmaking was a great tool for storytelling. So that was my attraction to filmmaking. So my movie is on migration. It's about West Africans trying to migrate to Europe, using what is called the back door. So it's irregular migration. 27 years ago, I was one of those young people from West Africa trying to make it to Europe. I didn't make it. I changed my mind on the road in Mali, in Bamako, because I learned a lot about the dangers that I was risking, especially as we were ready to start getting deeper into the deserts. So I felt like, okay, I know I wanted a better life for myself and for my family. I liked the adventure, but I wouldn't want to risk my life, doing that. So I decided not to go anymore. So I changed my mind. I made a detour. I couldn't go back to Nigeria because I didn't want to face the shame of failure, and the stigmatization that comes with it. So someone advised that Gambia was a good place to go. They spoke English and all that. So I was like, okay, fine. So we went to Gambia. Long story short, got stranded in Gambia. Ended up spending 2 years in Gambia. And it was in Gambia that I actually finally got the opportunity to work on a film set. And that's when I realized that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And after 2 years, I decided to go back to Nigeria to study film, to just learn the art and just start practicing. Yeah. I mean, like I said, that was the reason why I didn't return to Nigeria immediately. That was the reason why I had to spend 2 years outside Nigeria to be able to return. But even after the 2 years, I still didn't have money. I still, but at this time I had a dream now that it was bigger than, the shame that I was going to face. And of course, for me, it was bigger than even the dream of trying to go to Europe, because now this is something I really wanted to invest my life in. So for me, it didn't matter if people laughed or if there was shame or anything like that. I was just focused on getting into the film industry, learning filmmaking, and just doing what I really wanted to do. And I didn't care. Of course, people talked, people laughed, people whatever. But at that point, I was determined not to care, and that's not easy for a lot of people. That's why a lot of people that I met on this film find it difficult to return, and that's why I'm doing a program, starting a program where we are helping people to return and create a safe space for them to spend like a 1-year program where they can now eventually be able to reintegrate into the society. We're starting in Nigeria, but we're getting people who are interested in joining, supporting the program, and some people have suggested that maybe we can have 1 or 2 centers outside Nigeria, so that people who may not really want to just go back to Nigeria can go maybe to Ghana or to Gambia and stay there for 1 year and go through the program. And then when they are now, after that 1 year, they will now be completely psychologically and, logistically ready to go back. So it wasn't just one man. So I went with 3 people plus myself, that's 4. So it was a crew of 4. Jide, the cameraman, Eugene, the sound man, and Okay, my producer, my Nigerian producer, because I ended up working with producers, co-producers. So, but my Nigerian producer was on the trip with me. The other producers were not on the trip with me. So we were 4 on the trip, and it was so because we wanted to keep it very small unit, because it was a lot of movement, and we were also filming during the time of the pandemic, so we couldn't afford to have a large crew. The process was quite tedious and quite challenging psychologically. Sometimes some of my crew members were affected psychologically by the stress on the road, and sometimes the security threats and all of that. But we were all focused on just getting the film done and getting the story out. I think that what was important, like I said, was even though we didn't have a lot of time, I didn't have a lot of time to establish, relationships with these protagonists. But the short time that I had, I made sure that kind of drew them in and just make them feel relaxed and just let them feel comfortable to share their stories. And one of the ways that I was able to achieve that was sharing my own story with them first, so they understand that, okay, at some point I was also in this situation, and so there was that connection there, and I feel like that helped a lot in all the places. I premiered the film at the Berlinale, and it became one of the favorite films at the Berlinale. Most of the tickets for the screening of No U-Turn at the Berlinale was sold out, and I won Best Jury Mention for Best Documentary. And so that has been a lot of encouragement, and that has also meant that the film was exposed to a lot of people, a lot of festivals that we have not even sort of submitted, but based on the exposure from Berlinale, festivals have reached out to program the film. And so it's been a lot of encouragement. It's just this February, and I think we've done almost 15 festivals, both in the US and in Europe, and we've done 4 in Africa. 3 in Africa, and the response has been amazing, especially from Europe. We've done more festivals in Europe, and for me it's quite strategic, it's quite interesting that this is the place that I almost killed myself trying to come to, and then I make a film about it, and I'm now almost every other month in Europe, screening the film and connecting with new audiences, and it's been quite exciting. And the response that I love the most, and I get this response all the time, is people say the film helps them to see migration from a human angle, as opposed to from the political angle, where most times that's the narrative has been around politics and all that. But No U-Turn helps to show the human angle, so people understand more about the migrants, understanding that what the migrants want are not necessarily different from what you want. They're not different from what I want. You know, basically everybody just wants to have a better life, have a better chance at life, and to be able to take care of themselves and take care of their family. So that has been amazing in terms of the responses. So we Steps is very focused on making sure that the films create impact. So we have impact strategy that we've been developing, and Steps is encouraging all the films to develop impact strategy for their countries. And STEP has facilitated 2 workshops to discuss and to share information about what is important and how to go about it. And we also are very passionate about impact producing for the film. Personally, we've already started developing concepts and strategies before even Steps came on board about the impact and all that, because we want a lot of people to see the film at different levels. We want to engage with the government to see the film, so they can see why it's very important to create enabling environment that supports people to be able to dream from where they are, instead of having to risk their lives trying to cross borders. We also want to share the film with communities, so that parents and community leaders can see the film and stop putting pressure on young people. Because a lot of what you hear is that, oh, I want to take care of my family. I want to take care of my family. I mean, you haven't even taken care of yourself, but it's because of the pressure that comes from the parents and the community. And so every young person growing up feels like there's this burden on their shoulder that they have to, help. And so it doesn't help them to even develop themselves, to be able to even stand before they can think of helping others. So we hope that screening these films with parents will help them to see the type of stress that young people are going through, and hopefully they will stop putting all that pressure on young people. Then we want to screen it with young people as well, so that they can see the risk. Because when people come to them to say, oh, it's so easy, it's just 7 days and all that, when they watch the film, they can see that it's not that simple, So hopefully that helps to encourage them to sort of redirect their passion, because I feel like with all that passion, if you actually redirect it and put it where you are, we can make a lot of we can make a lot of success. My next project is a follow-up to No U-Turn. So of course, in No U-Turn is people trying to migrate to Europe and all the stress and everything. The next project will be about people who actually made it to Europe. Because after maybe every 10 people, maybe 1 person makes it, or even after maybe every 100 people, 2 people makes it, And my next film is trying to find out, for the people who eventually make it, if it is worth it for them. Is it the paradise that they hoped that it would be? So basically that's the question that my next film is trying to find answers to. Other projects I'm working on a fiction project. I'm back to the fiction set after No U-Turn. After 2 years, I'm working on a fiction set. And so next year is election year in Nigeria. And the last election year, 4 years ago, I made a fiction project about the Nigerian politics, which was quite well received, and I think was quite effective in helping to encourage conversations around politics, especially within young people. So I'm working on another project now based on the Nigerian politics, but it's a fiction, and I hope to finish it before the year and release it into the cinemas before the elections in February.
Everybody come closer, all the hate's now over. Make we bond and play on, we won't be some closer. Young and old get close now. Move your feet, make it pass through up through your shoulder. All the rest now fade. Been too long, I know you waited. It's not wasted. Get these walls all painted. Rumble us, get moving back like a state. Love can never be wasted. Let it go and kill all the people that you created. All the red now faded. Now the red all faded.